Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone, or good late morning. This is Bagger Don. It is June 15th, Thursday. Where did this week go? We hope you're having a good day. Swing Machine's having a wonderful day, and our members are. We hope you're doing well. Let's give you an update as to what you're looking at and where we are, what we're doing. Swing Machine is doing its thing with the NASDAQ on a 1, 3, 5 minute interval. Now, if one of our members, one of our annual members who has Swing Machine on their desktop, if they took the 1 minute signal 159 minutes ago, is what that means, at 8:48 today, and the trend is certainly up at 15,106 with one mini contract, they are in fact up $3,400. If they used a micro, they're up 340. If they used 10 minis, they're up 34 grand. It's scalable. A 3-minute interval, 53 3-minute segments ago. This is just shorthand to tell us how long the trade's been on. 8:51, just minutes later, 3,100. 5-minute interval, 31 5 minutes at 9 o'clock, and you're up still just about the same. So were you buying it at that level, or did you think it was overdone? Were you getting short, right? This would have been for the person who is trading mechanically, shadowing Swing Machine. And that's what I did, when competing in the CME challenges. I was trading mechanically because I couldn't robotically trade the platform for the CME. However, we can trade Swing Machine robotically. We can program the machine to take individual trades, and then we can also, which is what this is doing, it's trading 3 different time frames together, and it's hedging itself. Now, you may say, well, it's only up $327, Bagger. Yeah, it is only up 327. It's been up. We started running it at midnight. It was up about $1,000 around 6, and it was just up several hundred just a short time ago. So it's taken a couple of little losses, but it's been profitable almost from the get-go. And I haven't made one decision to enter or to exit a trade. Totally hands-free. The only decision that I've made is to turn it on. And I could make a decision to turn it off too, right? I could. And, we put this little note down here. There are 24 trading days per month, 24. $100 a day is $2,400 a month. The problem is, or the challenge is for new traders, we can say that, we can show that. Now, not our members, because our members are very disciplined, very patient, and they understand. But new traders to the market, they're just not that patient. They're just not. They're like, okay, yeah, $100 a day, honey, and I get 2,400. But then they get in there and they get, I've been here for 3 days and I'm only up $300, and they get anxious and they get impatient, and then they start forcing things. Then they get in trouble, and the next thing you know, they're down 3 grand. That's part of the issue. So we like to trade robotically because it kind of takes the takes the emotions and the fear and the greed, try to take that out of the picture. But you still need to be a good trader. You need to have, piloting skills to operate a cruise control or a flight control on a plane. You still need to have good trading skill to operate these trading robots, because you could still, you could still hurt yourself. Now, a person could, which I haven't done. I haven't intervened on one trade, and there was plenty of opportunity to get in here and to have tried to intervene and to take better trades. There have been some circumstances in here that I described to our members as I was watching it. It's like, I don't know if I would want to take that trade, but the machine took it anyways. And another thing that we can do with a trading robot is we can empower it, as we've done here, to literally put the trades in and out totally on its own. Or we could set it up with what we call confirmation, and the machine will ask you, hey, I want to buy this. Do you want to buy it? Or I want to sell it. Do you want to? And so if you want to be in that state, but you do need to have good acquired skill. This is where I would hope after a few days, after a few weeks of being, and hopefully bored, because it's real boring. It's real boring. You gotta read, you gotta listen to music, you gotta get on a treadmill, you gotta go walk the dog, you gotta go do a few laps in the pool. I mean, because it's really boring as hell. And it's good. Boring is good. You don't need, if you want to read about inflation and deflation and get all angry about the Fed and Nvidia's doing that and this moving average is doing that and that MACD is doing this and that, and you want to do all that, every day, and all the cryptocurrency guys, if that works, if that's working for you, you're having fun and you're making money, and know how to keep score, that, just keep doing it. But if you're not, and just because you have a cell phone, and just because you can put in an order, it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to do it time and time again, right? Now the machine doesn't get all these trades right. No, it's gotten a lot of them wrong. In fact, it's gotten so many trades wrong since midnight, and this is the part of robotic trading that new people cannot understand. And I'm saying it in a nice way, in the nicest way I can. They don't know what they don't know, right? And if you had placed all of these trades, every single one manually, you were here since midnight and you've been doing that, you still wouldn't be trading, because you would have lost a lot. You would have lost a lot on a percentage basis. You probably would have lost maybe 6 or 7 times out of 10. And see, a person, they can't do that. They have it ingrained in their brain, and Wall Street knows this, and Madison Avenue knows this, that they must win on every single trade or on 7 or 8 of them, because they feels good. They get a dopamine rush, and you're dead as a trader. You're dead. It's the execution. It's the flawless execution that is the edge in the market. It's machines. It's digital machinery. We've been doing this a long time. So if the machine, I could give you the trading stats on what this has done. And the reality of it is most retail traders don't even appreciate it. If I told you what the stats were, you'd probably throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, well, that sucks. I'm not going to do that. In fact, let me go do this. I haven't done it since midnight. I'm going to run a report, and I'm going to do it right now. And I'm going to tell you what the trading characteristics of these trades have been since midnight. And I'm going to tell you, if you were doing this trade and you had these stats, you would have thrown the baby out with the bathwater. You wouldn't do it. Okay. It has had 22 trades. 22 trades. And the percent profitable, 31.82%. What kind of crap is that? Crap. I lost 7 out of 10 times. Yep. It's lost 7 out of 10 times. Yet we're making money. A human who is not aware of what they're not aware of, and that's what we try to do at Stock Market Academy, is make everybody aware of what we feel they need to be aware of. If they're not aware of that and they have it in their head, I got to win. I got to win 8 or 9 out of 10 times. Well, as soon as they get 10 trades and they lose 7 out of 10 times, they're going to just, oh, that sucks. Or they suck. They get down on themselves. They get down. They don't understand what they don't understand because they're not aware of what it's doing. Right. And that's why we do what we do. And we videotape a lot of our trading robots. You see that if you're on YouTube. We will compress hours and hours of trading down to just a few minutes. And we do that for a few reasons. One, certainly to create awareness of who we are and what we're about, but we also want our members to see that so that they can say, aha, and so, and a lot of it has to do with what your goals and aspirations are and your style and trading personality. But a lot of new people don't understand that. Well, they just don't understand what they don't understand. If you are trend following long, trend following short, counter trending, the expectations, the trading expectations that you need to have are different. And if you don't know what those are and you don't understand them and you don't appreciate them and you try to fight, it's like, yeah, I know that. He's told me that. I know that. I know I should be prepared to do this, but I'm going to fight it. And not me. I'm going to trade and I'm going to win 7, 8 out of 9 out of 10 times. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go. You will be frustrated beyond belief because you are fighting it. You are fighting it. And I equate it to golf. Golfers have a tendency, new golfers, to want to scoop the ball in the golf swing. They want to scoop it. They want to lift it up. I got to lift the ball up, right? And now I'm not a teaching pro, right? I'm pretty much of a hacker in golf, right? So we have some professional golfers in our midst, and they laugh when I talk about golf. But in order to get the ball to go up into the air, you've got to hit down on the golf ball. What? You've got to hit down on the golf ball. And that drives the ball up. There are people that will play golf for 10, 15, 20 years and never get that. And usually I'll be the guy who gets to play behind them. I get to watch it. They're like, oh, Jesus Christ. We're playing now, honey. We're playing now. And they're out there, they're golfers. They call themselves golfers, and they're out there and they're spraying it around. They're having a good time. They're having a good time. That's all right. I mean, they're never going to break, 100, 90, 80. They just don't have a chance in hell. And they don't know what they don't know about the game and what they need to work on. And, and the trading game is also, it's a game. And we just try to make you aware of what the elements are. And then you can, if you want to fight it, it's just not a good idea. You just can't fight it. But you just want to come to grips with it. It's an uncertain endeavor. Need to be flexible and all those good things, but you also need to know what to work on. So, and you, I want to say you, I don't want to be talking at anybody. Could you put the NQ 1 minute on its own with buying the dips and selling the rips? Yes. Yes. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Yep. Not only that, not only so that would be on a single time frame. We could do it with a single time frame. We could do it with multi time frames. Um, we can also do it. Um, good, good. This is what we can do. When you say, so he's asking, so Ace Car has asked me a couple of questions I want to answer. Could you put the NQ1 on a 1 minute on its own, buying the dips and selling the rips? Yes. How does that perform? Okay, so that's a really, really good question. And it's a really, really broad question, right? So let me answer that for you. It depends, right? Well, it depends on what, right? So I'm going to answer the question, but I want you to think about this. There are a lot of things well, we can't control what the market does, but there are a lot of things that we can control. Would like to see some videos whenever you are free to do them. Would like to see videos whenever you are free to do them. I'm not sure what you mean. Would like to see some videos when you are free to do them. I'm not sure I understand, but a person might run the 1 minute NQ in a certain configuration, and they might run it from like 8 at night to midnight, and it may not do well. Another person might run it from 4 in the morning to 8 in the morning and do fabulous. Another person might run it, just during normal session hours. So as an example, another person might run it with profit targets. Another person and do better. Another person might run it with stop losses. Another person might run it with break evens. Another person might run it with chandelier stops, which you may not know what those are. Another person might run it with what we call smart exits. Another person might run it with, do you get the idea? So when you ask me, can we do that? Yes. And then you ask me, well, what's the performance? And so that's why and it's also leads to the next, subject. We do not sell individual programs for people to use. Better than that, we give you everything we have, everything we got. All my programs, all the radars, all the paint bars, all the show me studies, all the everything. But more valuable than any one thing is the education on how to use them and and we need to make you aware of the things that you may not be aware of so that and how you can go about setting them up. That's where the Q school comes into play. And it takes us, we can't even cover, we cover, we have a teaching itinerary that we want to cover, and we cover it all. It takes us 3 weeks to do that. Otherwise, this is what would happen. And we thought about this, right? And we could, and that's where we just weren't ever going to do this. It would be like going to, a Lamborghini. You got the money, I don't know, yeah, and you're going to go buy yourself a Lamborghini. Or I'll put myself in it. I don't, I just have a driver's license, and I decide to go and buy myself a Lamborghini. You hear about these people, and they get in the Lamborghini, and they drive it out of the parking lot, and they don't get 500 yards down the street, and they wrap it into a pole. Or you hear about this all the time. In fact, it's incredible the amount of people who have private airplanes. The doctor, I mean, these guys are crashing. There's like about 10 to 15 or more private plane crashes a week. Can you imagine that? These people, very, very successful people, very, very smart people, very successful. they got enough money to go out and buy themselves an airplane, and they're crashing them. You know? So we want to make sure we cannot promise you an outcome. I cannot promise you that you're going to be a successful pilot, but I feel that it's the responsible thing for us to do, and I've said this to Susan, is that I don't want to sell individual programs without providing the education that that folks need to have. And we get tons of emails every single day. I don't want the Q school. I just want the programs, and that's just not going to happen. It just shows me, a level of, I'm not, whether a person does, well, they need, the education is more valuable than any of the individual tools, because the markets are going to change and the tools are going to develop, and we're constantly working. And if you don't have the skill set to do it, and we don't give you the education in front, you just, you're just going to struggle. So I hope that's something appreciative. Of the NQ1 on swing machine by itself. Oh, would you like to see some videos where you're free to do them of the NQ1 on a swing machine by its own? Okay. Yeah. Well, we can do that, and I can do it live, but it's trading a 1 minute right now, actually. So this is a 1 minute interval right now. I just put here, let me show you. This is a 1 minute interval right now for Ace Car, but it's also making decisions to enter the 1 minute based on what the 3 and the 5 minute are doing. We just I use Zoom here. Let's see here, undo. There it is. We use Zoom to clean it up, so we don't, have a lot of excess writing on the screen. But so it's a 1 minute interval right now. And we've had this running since midnight. This has been up over $1,000, and been up several hundred. It's been profitable all night. I don't know what the outcome's going to be. Now, we're only going to be on YouTube for, probably another 15, 30 minutes, maybe. If there are any other questions, we're happy to answer questions. We have programs that you can put into your trading robots that say, once my account is up so much money or down so much money, stop trading. But you have to have trading skill, right? So there's no jumping the shark either. There's no, we'll get these emails, hey bagger, hey bagger, how much is that bot? I want that bot. And they just have no trading skill at all, and they think they can just jump the shark and just plug it in. It's going to just print them money. Our members work very, very hard at this. Yes, this is the cube version with 5 and 15. I was wondering, how does it on the 1 minute by itself? Yeah. Fine. This is and it's actually the 5135. Yeah, but the thing what you got to understand, Ace Car, which you may not appreciate, when you ask that question, see what we would want to do. Do you know what a back test is? Oh, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. He wants to know. Ace Car wants to know, how does the strategy on the 1 minute do? Right? How does it do? So okay. So that depends, right? That depends. I could put the 1 minute. What hours do you want to run the 1 minute, Ace Car? What hours? I'm going to ask you some questions. You tell me. I'm going to take some notes. So Ace Car wants to know the 1 minute strategy. What hours do you want to run? I would like to run it from 6 a.m. till the US close. All right. So he wants to run it. All right. So I'm going to write this down from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. Okay. And Ace Car, how much leverage do you want to use? Do you want to use a mini contract? Do you want to use a micro contract? Yeah, I would agree. Yep. You want normal session hours would be good from 6 to 4. I wouldn't refute that. That would be good. How much leverage you want to use? You want to use a mini? You want to use a micro? One mini. Okay. All right. Do you want to use a profit target? Yes, no. A daily profit. All right. So he wants a daily profit of 1,000. What about a no trade, no profit target, and no stop loss? Okay, so you just want to run it wide open. Okay. And so you wouldn't want to use any smart exits. Okay, so what we would do in that instance, okay, if that was something you wanted to do and you had Swing Machine on your desktop, what you would do is you would put it on the NQ and you would look, it would go back on a 1 minute, would go back 2 or 3 weeks. And we would set the hours and we would see historically what it would look like. And that would tell us what it would have done over the last 2 to 3 weeks. But that is a back test, right? But there's a lot of things that come out of Wall Street that is garbage, but there is one thing that they say that is true. And what is true is what's happened in the past. I would like to know the historical results. Right. Right. But I'm going to give you a little bit more education, and I want you to think about this just as a guide. Well, it's more than just as a guide. So, because a lot of retail traders think like, okay, they were in the back test and they spend their entire life just back testing. So we can run a back test and we can look at those results. And it might be fantastic, right? It might be fantastic, or it might be very bad. Now, it would not be responsible of me to show, and I don't usually do this because people don't understand, but let's say it's phenomenal. And I show you the backtest results of the last 2 to 3 weeks. It would be disingenuous of me to show that because what has happened in the past may or may not happen in the future. That is true. That's one of the old axioms of Wall Street, and that is true. And you need to understand that. Now, you're a smart person because I can tell by the questions, and you've been doing some trading and you've thought about this. Then the question that when it was described to me, and I'm like, okay, I get that. This is the way I thought about it was, well, then what the hell good is the back test? What the hell good is it? Why do it? If it's not going to give me any indication of what's going to happen in the future, I mean, why, if it isn't going to do that, why do I do it? Right. It helps us determine they're a model. They're a model. So when we run the back test on the parameters that you think that you want to start out with, and which is no stop and no profit target, and those are the hours. And maybe, the back test shows it's phenomenal. Maybe it is. Now, there's a number of things that we can do even at TradeStation, but we can now, when you run live in a live environment, you want to, right. We measure the performance, and the machine just took a long here. What we want to do is measure the actual performance, not an individual trade, not even an individual day per se. I mean, we'll do it day by day, but over time, and want to measure the actual performance against the back test to see if we can live with it. So a back test might show, for instance, somebody that over a course of 2 weeks, you're going to make $20,000. But in reality, you start running and you're like, I'm not doing that. I'm only doing 10% of what the back test shows. Maybe that's acceptable, maybe it isn't, right? But where it gets really, really interesting, and where our traders live, is the reality of it is swing machine or any strategy. There are some, so I got to be careful on this, but especially on a 1 minute time frame, if you don't have technical exits, it's probably going to be too noisy. So you're going to have to start introducing other exits. And then that's where the skill set comes in looking at the back test and then measuring it, going forward. At TradeStation, you can do something they call a forward test. So we can run a back test, and we would probably want to have some profit targets in there, probably some stop losses in there. We got other things called smart exits, and we might, and maybe the hours, you want to run from this happens frequently, Ace Car, you want to run from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m, which is what most, beginning retail traders want to do, because the market's open and I want to run all day. But we can actually ask the machine, well, why don't you tell us if it's a minute chart, maybe you should tell us minute for minute, when should we start? Should we start at 6? But let's say we want to start someplace between 6 and 8. And the machine will actually go back and say, okay, you should really start Ace Car at 7:15. Okay. And then we can say, and we think we would like to end somewhere between, noon and 4 p.m. And we can back test that. And the machine can come back and say, something, Ace Car, you probably shouldn't go until 4. You should probably end this thing at 12:15. Now, suddenly you set out with the idea that you wanted to run from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m, but the machine is telling you, no. You should be running from 7:15 to 12:15. Oh, okay. I didn't know that, right? I don't know. So that's what you do. Then you run and you compare and contrast. But when we write those back tests, they generate tests, and they create in a file, and they can be thousands of them. They can be millions of them. And we can take that file. And we can put it into a product at TradeStation called a walk forward optimizer. They're the only company that has it, to my knowledge. And it's a multi-million-dollar product. And then what that does, it scrambles and randomizes that data, and it tests, and that's what we do for a lot of our programs. Not all, but a lot. And it will randomize, and it'll tell us it would tell you the robustness of what it is you're about to do. And you can drill down into that, right? Now, this takes hours, days to learn just how to use these tools, but you can then drill down to know that, maybe you want to be doing this, on those hours, but maybe you shouldn't be doing it on Mondays. Maybe you should only be doing it on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and shouldn't be doing it on Fridays, that kind of detail. So I describe all that to you because you want me to send you a video. We're doing this live for you right now, and she's trading. I don't want to send you a video, and we're very very direct on this. I'm not making any claims whatsoever that any member to Stock Market Caddy that joins Stock Market Caddy that operates these tools is going to automatically make money. I don't at all. Don't at all. You must have good acquired trading skill, and you must, learn how to use the tools and how to trade. And there's no jumping the shark. So I'm very, we do these little live sessions to show what's possible, not, trying to prove an outcome. So I had a very nice gentleman call, a very nice gentleman. I understand where this comes from. And he just said, in a note, he just said, Don, I'm really not interested in the Q school. I just want to trial, and I just want to trade swing machine for a week and see if it works. And then I'll make a decision from there. I'm not interested in doing anything like that, because it shows me the person is just doing it for the money and is not interested really in learning, and isn't prepared to make a commitment. Our members make a huge time commitment. They make a financial commitment, a time commitment. They work very, very hard at learning how to use these tools. And if a person thinks that coming through that, this is just easy and it's just going to be, a quick, easy thing to do, then we're sending the wrong message. There's a process. There's a learning process. So, any case, hopefully I answered the question. But none of these trades I've been put in, right? I've just been focused on your question. If there's any other question, it's now noon. We came on at about 11:30, so we'll probably go to the bottom of the hour at 12:30. And but I guess the big thing is that, just trying to convey is that, you can't learn to play golf by watching one video, right? I could send you a video of me hitting golf balls for an hour, and, that doesn't mean that you're going to go hit them. It's a big financial, it takes trust. Yeah, it is. It's a big financial commitment. It's trust. Yep. It's also a big time commitment, and it's also a big commitment on my part. So we don't accept everybody either, by the way. Monthly memberships have an unlimited number, but annual memberships, I don't accept everybody. And you can't join as an annual member without going through the Q school first. And that's deliberate. So I've had people join as an annual member, and I trying to jump the shark without, and I just send them the money back. You got to go through the Q school. The Q school is a 3-week program where you get to spend 3 weeks with me, and you get the on-demand video, and we control the view that you're seeing, and we want you to be trading in a simulated environment during those 3 weeks, so that you can prove to yourself, or to find out for yourself, what you can and can't do. You'll get, and it also serves, so it does serve as a trial, And it also serves as a trial for us too, so we get to know. Now, I do reserve the, an annual membership available for anyone that goes through the Q School. So if anybody makes that commitment for Q School, an annual membership will be there for them if that's what they want to do. But if at the end of the Q School, we have you keeping score of your trades, you say, hey, Don, you know what? I learned a lot, but this isn't for me and I can't do it. And, then, um, you've got a great education and you don't become an annual member. If you do decide to become an annual member, we will credit you back 30% of the Q School. But it is a big commitment, and it's a big commitment for us too. I spend a lot of time with you, and I'm going to work as hard, if not harder, and I do, than many of the folks, not saying everybody, because they work very, very hard, that come through the Q School. There's just things that, and we're trading not just time bars, point and figure, Renko, custom Renko, line break, range bars, radars, back testing, forward testing, automation. There's a whole lesson plan to what we want to do. And we, of all the people that have gone through the Q School, every person has gone on to be, and that's why we're totally comfortable with it. Every person has gone on to be an annual member with the exception of two people. One person, and I think he sold himself short, just said to me at the end, and he did well, but he just said, Don, I really hate computers. And he did, right? You don't have to do any coding, but he said, I hate computers. And we were very patient with him. He was fine. He was doing fine. And he, and I just said, well, if you hate computers, you probably, this is computer-based trading. Then the other person, I to this day don't know what happened. He just disappeared like for the last week. I think he had lost a lot of money, and I think he just came in and thought he was going to try to make all his money back like in a week or 10 days or something. It didn't, he didn't work out well. No, he just disappeared. I just don't even know what happened. But everybody else, I just wonder how it would do in a choppy market. Well, today's been a pretty choppy little market. I mean, it's trending up, but again, markets. Ace car. Do you know the 4 ways to trade? There are only 4 ways to trade. Do you know what they are? Maybe. You've been trading, right? Nah. Yeah. Well, there are only 4 ways to trade. And if you don't know what those 4 ways are, then, and you don't know, and you're putting any trade on, you don't know those 4 different ways. There are 4 distinct ways to trade. And those 4 different ways have very distinct expectations around them. And if you don't know what type of trade you're putting on, then you cannot have any expectations of a result. That creates anxiety, and you can't, it's not anything that you can repeat. I don't have enough time here today to, to explain, all 4. Do you know how to keep score? trading score. Do you know how to keep trading score? How do you keep score? How do you keep score, Ace Car? I appreciate the questions. I mean, this is good. This is, this is good. So I'm not, but how do you keep score? You keep score through trading platforms. Um, have you, okay, so not exactly. Um, Profit factor, win rates. Okay. What is a profit factor? Do you know what it is? Yeah, more or less, right? Gross profit divided by gross loss gives you a profit factor. It tells you how much money for every dollar you've expended, including your commissions. So, our profit factor yesterday here, we made about 900 something dollars, and our profit factor was 1.6. And that means that we made a $1.60 for every dollar we expended. Now, if we're trading, yeah, you've won. Yeah, exactly. Right. And even today, I think our profit factor is running about 1.5. And so we'll compare that. Um, Profit factor is important because it gets your focus away from the money. And the money is what, most people keep track of. And embedded in that is the greed and the fear, and they lose track. We have members that have had profit factors. We posted them on the website, going through the Q school of 20, 30, 40. We've had folks with profit factors for a week of 80. So, you can do the math from there. If they lost $100, that means they made 8,000. If they lost 1,000, that means they made 80. And the person in particular that had a weekly profit factor, he's from Germany, his name is David, um, had the machine just took a break even there. Now, the by the way, just a comment, the machine had a run up of $200 or $300, right? And she just executed a break even stop here. Now, and that's reflected here, and reflected in my profit factor, and reflected in my score. Now, maybe another person, if it was you, Ace Car, and you were trading, maybe you decided to intervene mechanically and capture that money. You would have a different result, right? So, and that's the thing. What the strategies are doing. Well, when I was going to finish with the gentleman, David, in Germany, he went from 1 week having a profit factor of 80 to the next week feeling like, feeling bad about his trading, which there was no reason. And he had a profit factor like 15 to 20. And then ultimately, when I talked to him, he's like, I'm back to reality. I got a profit factor of 2 or 3. Yeah, so it will vary, but it it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what a specific program is doing or what another specific trader is doing. It only matters what you're doing, what you're capable of doing. That's why I like your products, but very expensive. Yeah. Yeah, no, we're not going to do that because it's really huge value. And, we've committed. If you go to, the online trading academy, I've never been there, but um, you can check them out. You'll spend 1 week in a classroom with about 30 other people. And, they do what they do. They sound like they're okay. And I don't know if you get anything afterwards. I think you can go back and go to the classroom every time you want to go. And I think they cost like $12,000 or $13,000. So, um, but you got to make a decision. Our thought process on this is, we work very hard. We've not been doing this for 6 months or 6 years. We've been doing this for years. We spend a tremendous amount of time on our members and on these tools. And you got to make the best decision for you. And, we are who we are. And if you make the best decision for you, that'll be the best decision for us. Right. So, but you got to make that decision. Trading can be a brutal endeavor. There's not many things in life that, penalize you for, a wrong decision. You go to work for a company, and you're a salesperson. I use this as an example, and, you make the sale, you get a commission, but if you're a salesperson for a company and you go there and you don't get the sale at the end of the month, the company still gives you a base salary. They still pay you. They don't take money out of your pocket. Trading in the market will take money right out of your pocket. You get greedy, you get fearful, you get stupid, you get reckless, so, and, we see this, folks, starting discretionary trading and they live there. So, education, there's a value there. So you got to decide. Thank you for the questions, everybody. We're going to let you watch here. If there are any other questions, let us know. We'll probably shut down here shortly. We need the resources on the computer. And you certainly can follow on Twitter and follow on YouTube. And when we do these, little midday, we're doing a little bit more of them during the summer months, quite frankly, because it's a little bit boring. I will say this is that Ace Car wanted to know what Swing Machine is doing. We've had Swing Machine, Ace Car, for now probably about 15 something years. I can tell you what it isn't doing. It isn't using moving averages. It isn't using MACDs. It isn't using stochastics or Bollingers. Although all of those things can be, in the right circumstances, pretty good. We're not, though. Swing Machine isn't the only program, right? So if you check out some of our other videos we've done, we have other radars. We won't bring in a view here because we're taping this, but we have other radars that, crunch, and you can trade Swing Machine on a, for stocks and for options. And we actually have a radar that can help you choose the right configuration for option trading too. By the way, we're looking here. Let's just change. And if you want me, Ace Card, to plug in any market and on any interval on Swing Machine, including a stock, let me know and I'll do that, right? So if you've got any recent trades and you want me to plug in, I'll plug it in. We'll do an acid test right now. Let me show you what you can do. I'm going to change this time frame to a 60-minute on the NASDAQ. So on a 60-minute interval, the NQ went long 114 hours ago at 3 p.m. on June 8th. And it is up $12,600. Now, would a new person or a new, not experienced person still be in that trade? Probably not. Probably not, because as soon as they get up, 700, 800, $900, they may have taken the trade off. But swing machine is still in the trade for 114 hours. Now, it's really, really extended. How about on a daily basis? And I'll do this with any market. You say you trade futures. I'll plug in any market you want on any interval, and I can show you where it entered, what time, what day, and where it is. Let's just put the NASDAQ. Now, this is going to make everybody puke, because if you've been listening to on the Twitter sphere, Hedge Eye, right? They charge you for this, they charge you for that, they charge you for this, they charge you for that. Or, you pay the Nigerians $12,000 and you get a private jet, you fly out to Napa Valley and you sit around and eat cream cheese and drink wine and rub elbows with NFL players. That's what people are doing. I'm not an NFL player. We're just traders. If you took the NASDAQ long 67 days ago, at 12,466 at 5 p.m. on March 14th, yeah, one mini, you're up $56,000. No macro team, no, Peter Bookvar, no Jim Rickards. We'll put this back to a 1 minute. We do trade Rinko, Ace Car. In fact, I was using custom Rinko in the CME challenge last week. We have multiple programs for Rinko, custom Rinko, and for range charts too. So yes, to answer that, advanced bar types. I was just telling our members, now our members are listening to this, right? They're not listening through YouTube, they're listening on Zoom. They may have turned it down. Our members can patch in on Zoom, but I have a member that just called me yesterday. He's been with us a few years, and I'm not going to tell you exactly, but he's running a very specific program of ours on a tick chart and doing really well. But they know, they know, they know the programs, they know what they're doing, and then they know you can run. So swing machine can be run, and it just took another trade, right? Now, visually, this is not a trade that I'd be really, comfortable taking here, because this looks a little elevated to me up here where she punches through. But this is where the machine can be very helpful. She's just going to keep doing its thing. Could I go up here and capture the 30 or 40 bucks here while we're doing this? I could, right? I could. I'm not going to. I'm just gonna let it play out here. I hope it doesn't lose on the last trade here, because we'll be signing off shortly. Yes, swing machine can be run. Now on the radar, you cannot run Rinko charts, right? But we can change the interval. Let me show you. You can change the interval to seconds, and we can actually, let's see, do we have it's blocked out, but we can actually change it down to tick level. We can run swing machine programs on Rinko and on range charts on price bars, but they won't match the radar, and they won't match the result that you're seeing on time. So that's not our, we have other programs that we prefer to run on those. But you could, there's endless, endless possibilities, but, you could certainly experiment. If you're a curious trader, and so, we have, folks that have been with us a while, and they're taking our programs and mixing and matching and doing a whole lot of, things. So That's where, so we will, during the Q school, we'll provide a person the education, the tool set, the opportunity to learn what this is. And then it's a question, at the end of the 3 weeks, do you want to go forward or not? And we've been asked the question, is the information transferable? And it is. It is. I mean, you could take the information of the Q school, and I think that if you apply it, I think you'll be in the top 5% of traders. I think that if you go on to be an annual member, I think you're going to do, I think you should do well, but you'll know during your Q school. We have on the website entered into the last 3 CME challenges from the Chicago Mercantile. The first challenge was 1,400 people. It was for a week on their site, and on going into the last day, we were number 10. We finished 20. We were trying to win it. We didn't, but we finished 20, top 1 or 2%. The next one had 1,600 people. And going at 5 o'clock on Friday morning, it ended at 1. We were number 2. We finished number 7. That's top 1%. Last week, they had another one, precious metals, 2,200 people. 24 hours out, we were trying to get ourselves in a position we were in the top 10 or 20 by Thursday afternoon, and then we would have traded overnight. We didn't trade that actively. At 1 o'clock, 24 hours out, we were 35 to 50. And then ultimately, though, we finished at 107. So 1,400, 1,600, 2,200, we were in the top 1 or 2%. And the worst showing was top 5%. We used swing machine. We used custom Rinko, and we used line break, our programs, and we were basically just shadowing them. And I was doing it by myself, and I wasn't going around the clock. I wasn't trading around the clock. I would have traded around the clock if I had been closer and could, have a shot at winning the top 3, but I wasn't going to expend that much time and effort. Do you get the bots to use in the Q school? Well, we can't send you all of them because there's just too many. Do you have TradeStation? Our programs will only work on the TradeStation platform. So you don't have to have TradeStation to go through Q school. You don't. And so we've had people go through Q school. You'll see TradeStation because we know it really, really well, and we use it. And they will shadow. Okay, so you have TradeStation. Yes. So then yes. So what we'll do is if you have TradeStation, then that's even better, because we know the platform really, really well. And so that's built into the Q school. And if you have TradeStation, yes, we will send you some of the programs. Some, not all, but some. We try to accommodate that. Yeah. Well, what we do during the Q school is you have a live Zoom feed, right? So what you're seeing now, our members can patch in at any time and they can see, but we have a second Zoom feed. And that second Zoom feed is dedicated for Q school. And we put up a view every single day, depending upon what we're working on. And we'll give you instruction around it. And we want you to trade it mechanically. And because again, you want to be able to trade, you got to have good discretionary skill. You got to have good mechanical skill. And we would like to spend, and that Zoom feed is open 24/7 or 24/5, for the days. Um, and we would like to be able to spend with the person an hour a day. Now, 3 weeks, an hour a day can be a bit much for most if they got work and vacation stuff. So we're flexible. We will work around their schedule, and we can make up the hour on another day or a weekend. And, we're not, it's not like super, super rigid. We're flexible. We're small enough. We can do that. We have a learning itinerary that we want to get through. And if we do it right, by the time the 3 weeks is, the person usually is like kind of hopefully chomping at the bit, like, hey, I got it. It's time for me to get going, Don. And they want to go. They want to go do their thing. And so that's what we do. Now, if the person has trade station, it's a bonus. So it is a good idea if you have um, and what we can even do too is, like, we have these on-demand videos, and there's about 25 hours there. We've done this and it's worked out pretty well. So if you said, like, I'd like to get access to those videos for like a week or two in advance of the one-on-one Q school, we'll do that. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll let you. So if you want to jump the shark a little bit and watch all the videos or watch most of them in advance, and then we do the one-on-one from there, then it technically goes to, I guess, to 4 to 5 weeks. I'm okay with that. We've done that in some instances, and I'm okay with it. We just want to make sure that you have a chance. You just like what you're doing here, you're asking questions. We want to make sure that that we give you, it isn't just a trial, it's a question, a chance to to run, and they're going to be all kinds of questions that are going to come up. And we want to make sure that we give you that chance. It works out. What else was I going to say? Like, in any case, do you get any other question? We have had, I guess it's on a testimonial. Actually, there's one person in particular that I did, and I need to, was years ago, and it was a gentleman. His name is Logan, and he came to us. He's from Utah. He was in his 30s, had a couple of kids, and Logan, this was before we had all of the tools that we had. And he called me on a Sunday afternoon and said, "Hey, Don, I haven't traded anything and nothing. And I just want to know what you know." And I'm like, "Oh, geez." I never really I never thought that that was going to happen. I didn't. I thought it was only going to be people that maybe have been trading and been frustrated. And so we didn't have everything that we had at the time. And but I said to Logan, geez, I said, I tell you what I'll do. And so we started these videos, and we started one by one, actually. And that's what kind of led to the Q school. And we called them Logan's Lessons. I actually still have them, but the Q school, really eclipsed them. We made it much more thorough, much more, advanced. But long story short, Logan came in, and very smart kid, very smart, and just took to it. And he did very well, and he accumulated, as he told me, about $20,000 in his futures trading. And he called me up one day and he said, "Hey, Don," and he loved point and figure. That was his thing, point and figure. He loved it. And we had some programs, and he called me up one day and he said, "Hey, Don, I'm thinking of taking the money and I'd like to trade Ethereum." And his question wasn't, should I or should I not? His question was, can I trade it using what I've learned? We just took a little loss there. Can I use it? Can I use what I've learned, and can I trade point and figure with Ethereum? And I said, yeah. Unfortunately, I said yes. But I was kind of grimacing on the inside. And I said, well, I said, yeah. I said, you didn't ask me. I said, but the only thing that I would suggest to you is that be careful with the exchange on which you're about to trade, because it was so new. Right? He said, I know, Don, I know. I said, okay, Logan, you're a big boy, but be careful, He was both our biggest success story and maybe one of at the same time, my biggest failure because he bought 1,000 coins of Ethereum when it was trading at 20. I have my notes, was trading at $20. He bought 1,000 of them. Logan is done. Okay. Logan, one of the last times I had talked with him, he, his wife and kids had a big motor home and they were traveling the country. And he said to me, he goes, Don, he said, and he bought and sold, he goes, I've been buying and selling and he still uses point and figure, but he understood the trade. He learned how to trade, right? He goes, Don, he goes, do you remember when I started out, how nervous I was about like $200-300? So I do. He goes, Don, do you know I have had trades that have been over $100,000 and I don't even bat an eyelash? I said, I understand. That was him. That was him. I mean, you know, some might say right place, right time, but you know what? He was a real inquisitive person. He was curious. He was disciplined. Um, it was amazing, sometimes the the difference. I mean, we talk to a lot of folks, and I'm very appreciative for everybody that calls and stuff. But it's amazing, sometimes people want to tell me, they'll call and they want to tell me everything that I don't know, everything that I don't know. They'll just want to spit everything out, I guess. Um, where Logan just called and said, I've never traded a thing. I just want to learn. I just want to know. I'm like, I just want to know what you know. Okay. His success didn't hurt me. I wish I bought some Ethereum. I could have. I could have bought more than 1,000 of them. I could have bought 500 of them. So it's like, why didn't we buy 500 of them or 1,000 of them or 5,000 of them? Could have. I've done stuff like that in the past. I didn't. So it was both our biggest success and maybe a biggest failure. Um, and he would call me every, he'd say like, I just bought another Camry was the joke. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I just made 30 grand. And so every time he'd call me, like, I just bought another one. I just bought another one. I'm like, Jesus Christ, and of course it goes to 60 and it goes to 100 and it goes to 200. And I'm watching the thing and I'm like, wow, be careful. He goes, I'm fine, Don. I'm fine. I know where if they break, I come out and then I go back in. Logan. So I don't limit anybody. We don't tell anybody specifically. And so this is also too. I've had some people trying to understand, and so we're not offering a signal service, right? I'm not giving individuals day in and day out signals to buy and sell like others are doing. I'm not a broker. I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not doing that. I'm not making any claims. I'm just providing you an education and providing you the tools that we're using, and all the power to you. And we'll support you, through your Q school. Following the Q school, I can't maintain that intensity. However, it's not like we go away. You can call, you can text, you can patch into the Zoom. You have some ideas that you want us to program. If we can, if it's not beyond our skill set, we'll program them, we'll back test them, we'll forward test them. But I don't intrude though either, right? I don't believe I'm here all the time. I'm not one of these folks that, that says that everybody should be doing what I'm doing, live, breathe, trade, that sort of thing. I don't. People have lives, they have families, they have vacations, they have stuff. So I don't bother anybody. You know, but I hope that, all of our members know that I think of them all individually, monthly members, annual members, And, if there's something going on that isn't working out or they're struggling, I'll do my level best to help them, work some things out. And there's so many different things that you can do, especially, going to advanced bar times. But there's no, I asked this in an open Zoom meeting. The gentleman who had the gentleman David from Germany who had a profit factor of 80. I should have recorded. I think I did, but I asked him at that day, and he was literally high as a kite. I mean, who wouldn't be? Profit factor of 80 in a week. I mean, to be like, and I'm like, be careful, you become euphoric. But I asked him, is there, David, is there a holy grail? Is there a holy grail? Is there one thing that you can trade all the time on every single market with, great? Do you believe that there's a holy grail? In this, I'm going to paraphrase, but this was his answer. It would be better if it was in his words, so he'd get tired of me. But we asked him, and I wanted to know what was his take on it. And he said, in a very hushed tone, he said, no, I don't think there is. But he added a but. It was, but what I would want everyone to know is that you can sometimes to many times, have a program that you are running on a market or two markets or three markets, and it can be running for days, for weeks, for months. You just don't know how long it'll, go. And he said, but you've got to, you've got to be able to make adjustments, so you've got to be able to live, with the uncertainty of all that. And some people can live with uncertainty and some can't. We get to a place where, Jesus, if I didn't have uncertainty in my life, I mean, I don't know if I'd feel alive. Like, it feels good. Like it keeps life interesting. But that's what he had to say. And so we have a whole process too of not just running a program for a day or a few hours, but how do you psychologically transition? And we do, and the machine just took another trade. The diagram that we talk about is, and I'll just kind of draw it out right here, is that everybody starts in this box, which is the discretionary trading. And then most people start here and they end here. And what do we mean by discretionary trading? Trading what you see, right? There are books about that. Trade what you see. Yeah, okay. You know how that works out. Trade what you see, trade what you hear, trade what you think. Or trade what someone else sees, what someone else thinks, what someone else, is doing. And that's where they begin and they end, right in that box. We're trying to move people from here to mechanical trading this way. Mechanical trading. This is what I did last week with the CME. Maybe Ace Car just took that trade. Maybe he just took that $130. He could do that if he wanted to. I'm going to let it run, right? But you have to learn how to trade, whether it be swing machine, this tool, that tool, and become really, really good at mechanical trading. And we're going to try to move you out of this box into that box immediately. In the first day of Q School, and we're trying to move you out of there. We will review in the first couple of days discretionary trading, and we're going to ask you what you've been doing, and we're going to work around what you've been doing and give you some great insights on some tools that you may be using, don't even know how to use them, and we're very good at that, because you should have good skill here, but we'll spend a lot of time here. And then toward the second and third week, we're going to try to move you into the realm of robotic trading, which is what's happening here today. Robotic trading. I should probably put this arrow like this because most of our members will live in these two boxes. This box and that box. They're doing both. They're going back and forth and back, and they leave this behind. This is for the Twitter files. This is for Hedge Eye and all that. Okay, and it just took another break even. And so, you know, now the machine is down doing its thing, but maybe Ace Card did make his, you know, $150. You know, maybe he took it. You know, I'm not suggesting anybody do this online. That's not why we're doing this, right? Then the last box, oops, I didn't mean to do that. Though the last box, we begin to do this toward the third week, but this is where you'll spend the rest of your trading life if we do this right. And that's in here. And this is robotic hedging. And these are things that you probably haven't even thought of doing yet. And in fact, there are things that we haven't thought to do yet. And we can go back and forth here. And so so this is discretionary, but you see what you hear, what you think, you know, trend line, this, that, you know. And the problem with this, by the way, is the market never lands in exactly the same place, exactly the same time. That would be like trying to play the US Open, right? They're going to play the US Open this week. What is the likelihood that that golf ball is going to land in exactly the same place, on exactly the same hole, on every single hole, every single day? I mean, for any one single golfer, not going to happen. Not going to happen. And the conditions be exactly the same. Yet, there are traders out there saying, you know, well, when the trend line does this and the trend line does that, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do it again tomorrow. And that's where the frustration comes in. Their expectations are not real, and they get disappointed. So we want to move here into the mechanical so that we know that, you know, I can hit my 7-iron. I may not be in exactly the same position, but if I hit my 7-iron, I can hit a 7-iron about 150, 155 yards, right? Depending upon the wind, depending upon the thing, you know, but that's where, you know, my skill set is. You know, those golfers know, they may not know that course, but they know their game. They know what shots they can hit and what they can't hit. They know it really, really well. They're going to have to compete with each other. The other good news is we don't have to compete with the other 2,200 traders every single day or every single week. Thank God, right? I wouldn't want to have to do that. That wouldn't be fun. Have to do that all the time. We just got to come in and do our thing. Robotic trading is, you know, we see it on the website, is like bringing out Iron Byron out onto the tee and letting him stripe the ball, you know? And this is a great way to go, because you imagine what kind of a golf could you do if you could bring Iron Byron, you know, that automatic golf machine, and it just tees off the ball, and all you do is like chip and putt. Because we have a lot of our members, they will run trading robots like this, and what they're doing differently is they're just sitting back in their chair or on their treadmill, and the machine is putting in trades, and then it handles the entries, it handles the losses, and the only intervention that they make in this robot box, they come in and affect the trade, is take a profit. So like we just saw, you know, this trade here ran up 150. You know, I say maybe you would have taken the $150. I didn't. It turned into a little break-even loss, but I chose not to do that. But I could have, right? And I could be putting on a clinic here, but I'm not trying to do a clinic on YouTube. I'm trying to make you aware of who we are, what we're about, and answer your questions. I'm not trying to put on a clinic. Our members know I'm doing something very specific here for their benefit, my benefit. And I specifically do not want to intervene right now. This robotic hedging, this is when you begin to start running multiple markets, maybe on multiple timeframes, and they're running opposite each other. So no one's asked the question, but see, we could be running this program. It isn't right now. It's running multiple timeframes, but it could be running and filtering orders based on what the VIX for the VIX NASDAQ is doing. We got the VIX for the S&P. We could do it with the S&P. We could be running robotic hedging. We could be buying and selling the euro based upon what the dollar is doing. We could be buying and selling gold based on what the dollar is doing. We could be buying and selling something else based on what interest rates are doing. I mean, it's just endless possibilities. But we're not going to do that sort of thing by coming over here and doing it discretionary. I'm not going to listen to Jim Rickards. I've read all his books. I think he's a great guy. I think his books are great on currency wars and all that shit. Like, it's really good. And I really like listening to Peter Schiff, but I would never take a trade. I wouldn't even take a 5-minute trade on anything they say. In fact, Jim Rickards in particular, I can remember when the euro was at $1.40 and our systems were like selling the euro. And I'm like, Jesus, Susie, this guy thinks the euro is going, he's telling people it's going to $1.90, going to $2, and the euro is going to shit, Um, in fact, so let me just, so that's what we're trying to do during the Q school. But by the end of the 3 weeks, we're just starting to get into that, we're just starting, and that takes a lifetime. But our members live in here. Retail traders live here. They live and die here. And they're fooled by randomness. They're fooled by randomness. Got another member, been with us a long time. He was an option, and we have option traders, right? So we do. He was an option trader. He says, Don, I have this service, and the guy sends me, 10 option trades a night. This is when he first called, and I said, okay. And he goes, and then so what I do is I pick from there, 2 or 3 trades, and I put them on. I'm like, okay. And how long have you been doing that? A few years. I said, okay. How's it worked out? Not so great. He goes, I made like 30,000, then I lose 30,000, then I make 30,000, I lose 30,000. He goes, I basically am where I started. I'm like, okay, all right, that's fair enough. And then I said, have you learned anything? Not a thing. Okay, that's not so good. I go, do you have any idea why he picks what he picks? No. Do you have any idea why you pick what you pick? No. So, well, that's not so good. So let's put a stop to that. Let's learn, right? Let's learn together. Let's I mean, really, if you're doing something and it's working and you're getting it done, then keep doing it. But for the love of Pete, if it isn't working, stop, think, look, listen, and learn. My background is from teaching surgeons how to do surgery. I do not come from Wall Street. Those people in surgery, they're surgeons. They don't wing it, right? They're surgeons. So, I didn't expect to go there, right? I was actually going to be signing off, but I wanted to explain that Q School is a big step. You're going to work very hard. You're going to get exposed to a tremendous amount, and it is a challenge. And we will stay with you and try to get you there. And then the rest, will rest with you. Oh, if you have, I'll just leave everybody with this: is if you have unreal expectations of something, whatever that something is, if you are looking for something that doesn't exist, you are going to be disappointed. Right? This is an opportunity for you to ask questions, and I'll answer those questions for you. I'll sometimes, have people call and they'll say, I signed up for such and such and he ripped me off. I don't know. I don't pass any judgment on any of that. I don't say like, yeah, it is. No, it wasn't. At some level, I say like, well, you know, did you ask the service? Did you ask what they were about? Did you know? So the way that we're set up, if you think about it, we're set up we Susan and I have set this up so that we try to give everybody an opportunity to quit, to say, no, this isn't for me, without expending a lot. The monthly membership is month to month. No deals for a year or 2 years. It's month to month. And if you don't get good value there, then presumably you won't stay. And very, very rarely do we lose anybody. Very, very rarely. We have folks been with us for years. And they get really good insight. And we're just showing the algos every night. The Q school is the Q school, right? We spent a lot of time on that. We're trying to impart a lesson plan to you during that time. At the end of the Q school, you have a decision to make. And we're very, very comfortable, right? We don't ask you to commit to the annual before. We don't ask you, if you want to stop the, end the Q school, graduate from the Q school, if you will, and we hope you'll stay as a monthly member, but if you choose not to and you don't, and you go off, and then you decide to come back 3 or 4 months, yeah, you're welcome back, but you won't get the discount. We do give you an inducement. If you, at the end of the Q school, if you roll right into the annual, we will give you $1,000 back. And the reason for that is we believe it's easier for you, and it is a bit easier for us if you keep moving forward. If you come back 3 or 4 months later, we know you're going to have to work that much harder, and we are too, because we're going to have to, replow some of that ground. And by the way, we don't really, I don't think this is on the website. It might be. People who come back as an annual member, the cost goes down from $39.99 to $3,500. It goes down. And we give an extra month free for every year a person stays with us. It works. So the philosophy is we're trying to keep the pricing the same or lower and adding more and more value every year. More and more radars, more and more strategies. There's things here that now we don't put all of that on a website, because we know, there are people out there that, this cottage industry are trying to steal. A lot of these tools are our intellectual property, they are. But we got a lot of different things, for trading stocks and trading options as well, not just futures. You wanted to, I'll just do this like NVIDIA. We just, NVIDIA has been in the noise, right? In the news. All right. So let's put NVIDIA up. NVDA. Now, we're not going to trade NVIDIA on a 1-minute time frame. Why? It's $429. You trade 100 shares of NVIDIA, it's $42,000. That's not an efficient use of capital, right? Wouldn't be a good idea. So we're not going to trade NVIDIA intraday. And you got wash sale rules, and you got all kinds of things. But let's put NVIDIA on a daily, right? Now, this is available. You could put all your stocks in here. NVIDIA went long 108, let me do this here, 108 days ago. At what price? 160. Now, it isn't up 269. It's up 269 points. Okay. The purse is being calculated based on an individual share, because it's an individual contract. And it was back on January 11th And it tells us basically where we are. And NVIDIA could go higher. It could. It could. But that's where it is. You know, the guy at Hedgeye wants to timestamp everything. We're timestamped, swing machine time. Now, if you want to come in, let me do this. I'm going to let me change the purse. Let me see if I can here. I can, but I get some. I'm going to make sure I do the right thing here. I'm going to change it from futures to stock. And I'm going to change to, let's say we were trading $25,000 in NVIDIA. Or $25,000 in a stock. Let's see here. Okay, she's zeroed out. I may not have enough bars back. So let me go do this. Bear with me. I didn't expect to have to, let's see if we can. I'm not sure what I've done there. Should be giving us our, maybe I made a mistake. Let me go back. Should be giving us our purse. Let's see here, general. Oh, I didn't set that as true. I thought I did. I got to set that as true. Okay. Then I hit OK. There it is. All right. So if you had traded a block of $25,000 in NVIDIA, let me get rid of that. 108 days ago, you'd have $42,000. How about NVIDIA on a weekly basis? Right? It's been around. We have members that own NVIDIA. I know that. And they actually have it probably a lot better than at 160. In fact, but let's look at it on a weekly. A weekly, it's 27,000. But this is what's going to blow your mind. How about a monthly investor? I'm not an active trader, Don. A monthly investor. You can change it to a monthly. NVIDIA Swing Machine went long 118 months ago. Split adjusted $3.89 back on 2013. If you had put as a monthly investor 25,000 into Swing Machine on, 2.7 million. You want to do it with, I'll put any stock in, any stock. If you're watching and listening on YouTube and you want us to plug in your stock, tell me the stock, tell me the interval, and I'll plug it in. Let's just go back to a daily though. Let's just put it back to a daily, but I'm happy to do it. I like showing the baby. It's kind of like our baby. How about Tesla? Everybody was calling, Tesla. I mean, these are the top stocks. Sorry for the screen moving. So if you had put $25,000 into Tesla 18 days ago, 188, you're up $9,000. Now, maybe you didn't use your capital. Maybe you used options. Okay. You're up. You're up big. You're up big. So if there's any other Ace Card, do you have a stock? No, he trades futures. But if there's anybody listening that wants us to plug in a stock, I'm just trying to think of some of the other stocks that are in the noise. Make it interesting. I don't want you to think I'm cherry picking. I'll put anything in. Now, does Swing Machine get every single one of them right? No, he doesn't. But what he will do, he will kick them out. You won't do that. The human won't do that. Humans buy a story. a narrative in a story, and then they won't sell because they want to be right. And once their thing is up or down, they don't. I'm trying to think of another stock that's in the news that you might want to. Oh, anybody want to give us one? Tesla. How about Apple? Okay, 100 days ago at 142.53, January 24th. And yeah, you're up 7 grand. So I'm going to put swing machine, if you don't mind. I'm going to put it back to a futures contract, though, because folks will get confused. But I just want you to know, and we want to be diversified, and not what we own, but we want to be diversified in what we can do. We can trade futures, we can trade options, we can define risk, we can sell options, and there's a whole education that goes there. And we will get into option trading, and we're gonna did I just goof that up again? I did. Sorry. So let me put this back. Futures. True. Yeah, it is that much. Isn't that crazy? I was like, holy smokes, I think I had it wrong. Yeah. Yeah, that's a crazy trade in the last 67 days on the NQ. That's on a daily. I'll put it back to a minute. So that is the idea. All right, so I'm going to erase these boxes, but that's what we're trying to do during the Q School, and it's one-on-one, and you're supplemented with on-demand video, and we control the view. And we will, as we go through, if you have TradeStation, that's where AceCar, we will send you. We want you to, these programs that we send, they're encrypted. They have a timestamp to them, but what is it like to receive a program? What is it like to plug in? And that's a bonus. So if you have TradeStation, it's a bonus. I'm going to erase these charts here. If there's any questions on it. So I didn't expect to go there, but AceCar, thank you for the questions. So we're not presenting any of these tools as an automatic. That doesn't, that's not the case. These are tools. I draw the comparison to like an autopilot on a plane. It's kind of like going to Lowe's, and I've told the story that, I had to repair an eave on my home, and I said to Susan, I can do that. How tough can that be? And I went to Lowe's and I bought myself a skill saw that could make miter cuts. And I bought myself, a couple of pieces of wood. And, I had to do the flange on the eave. It had like a 45-degree cut. Well, not only was it at a 45-degree cut, it was like at an angle. And it's not something I do every day. Well, I proceeded to get out there, and it's just like, where you going? I'm like, I got to go back to Lowe's and get some more wood. And then finally my neighbor, he came out, and I got like a stack of wood. I was like, Don, what the hell are you doing? I said, I'm trying to match these damn 2 pieces of wood. Christ, I had a stack of wood, something simple. It looks really simple. I couldn't get those 2 corners to match. He's like, Don, give it to me, will you? Let me show you how to do this. He goes, I've been watching from the garage. It took him like, he's like a master carpenter. It took him like 2 seconds. So just because you can, lease or purchase a skill saw doesn't mean that you're going to be able to build yourself a staircase. Just because you can, you can't buy our tools, but just because you can lease the tools doesn't mean that you're going to, automatically in future, you're going to be making $1,000 a day. You're going to roll out and you're going to start making $20,000 a month. But we tell the Logan program, I don't limit anybody. And I ask our members not to talk about the money. though, because I don't want to feel bad. We have members that trade in bigger size than me. So everyone's in a different place. I just ask them to talk if they want to talk to me or talk to the other members, if they do, to talk in terms of profit factor because it's all scalable. We have members that are trading micros. We have trade people that are trading minis, and we have people that are trading multiple minis, much bigger than me. And they just, they're in a different place. And that's fine. But it's scalable. It's all scalable. And if you want to talk, personally, probably a good idea. If you're thinking about the Q school, we should probably have a personal conversation. You're welcome to call me, and we can chat some things through, give it some thought, explore the website, write your questions down, and one of the questions that I do like to ask in advance. I got a few, but one is, what are your expectations? If you're able to realize your dreams in trading, what are those expectations? What are they? And we can have a very frank conversation about it. And if, are they real? Sometimes they're just not real. And if they're not, I'm not going to want to waste my time. I want you to be honest. There's no, you might as well be, and we're going to be, and you might as well be. But if they're not real, I won't want to waste my time. So we're at 110. She's drawn back a little bit. And we're going to let it continue to run, but we need the resources on the computer unless there are any other questions. Ace Card, thanks for your questions. Explore. And A question was asked earlier about, a monthly cost and everything. It's not practical because we can't be sending the programs every month, right? The programs go out, they're encrypted and they're time stamped. So they have to go out for a full year. And once they're out, we can't get them back, right? They can't be copied. They can't be, and we say they are time stamped. So that's protect you, protect us, but we can't, you know, do something like on we can't provide the benefits and the value of an annual membership on a monthly basis. It just isn't. It's not doable. It's not practical for us. So, one wants to think through what they're doing, and it is, it's a big step. So we're gonna let things run here a little bit. I don't want to talk, and bend anyone's ear. We're not running a trading room, per se, right? We're not, but our members can reach me, and they know that. And but so we're not in here in a trading room, hooting and hollering, and buy here, sell there, and doing that sort of thing, right? Um, we're doing something very specific this week, and we're letting our members, where we're taping this for them. We want to be able to share some specifics with them, and some new things that we're working on. And during the summer months, we're giving the folks on YouTube an opportunity to come in and as Ace did, and take advantage of some question, or ask some questions, and to see what this is about. Um, where we were, Susan and I, this is after, how we came to do this, is we've been fortunate in life. We've been very fortunate. We've worked hard. I was a shed with folks, taught surgeons how to do surgery. Susan worked for the likes of IBM and Lotus Software. And it got to be in the early 2000s, and we had been investing and done the IBD and the VectorVest and all that stuff. And we had done fine. We got ourselves through the dot-com and all that. But I got to a place where I thought, I was like, well, isn't this ridiculous? It's such a crock. And she's like, Sue's like, what do you mean, Don? I'm like, it's a crock. It's a crock of bullshit. You know, um, you know, I, I could be dating myself, but there were companies that were just like Nvidia today. There was JDS Uniphase and AOL and 3Com. They had something called a Palm Pilot, and there's always something. It's and you can make money in these bubbles. Trust me. I mean, it's all it is: bubble, boom and bust, bust and boom. Um, and I said, it's just kind of ridiculous. It's absurd. And even back then, you couldn't even short markets. And so what are we going to do? I said, well, Susie, what I'd like to do is, you're really good with the technology, and Susan was, and very good at math, and the internet was coming really available, like, because before 2000, it was dial up, right? But we're starting now to get high speed. We're starting to get the technology. The cost of transactions was coming down. And I said, I'd like to develop a systems approach to trading, Susan. When I go in and I spend, and I was wearing a mask, a surgical mask, before it was so fashionable, right? Day in and day out, these surgeons would, they weren't winging it. They weren't going in and, like, I think I'm going to do it this way today. I think I'm going to do it that way. Well, I think I'm going to do it this way. I think I'm going to do that. Yeah. No, no. They did exactly the same thing, from patient to patient to patient. My job was to introduce them to something, a new technology, a new way, and it might change their procedures just one small tiny bit, right? And it might save them time. It might hopefully improve the patient outcome. But they didn't willy-nilly just change. Could take months, of discussion and clinical data and everything. But I said, if we could approach our trading, Susan, the way a surgeon approaches his business, I think we would be a whole lot better off. She's like, let's do it, Don. Let's do it. I'm like, okay. So we set out to do it with no help from anybody, because everyone told us you shouldn't do it. You can't do it. You can't time the market. You can't do it. You can't do it. Oh, God almighty. And it was just terrible. There was no, YouTube was just coming available. There was no Twitter. Everybody was watching CNBC. Nobody even knew who the Federal Reserve was. Um, and when the Federal Reserve was being talked about, Art Cash was calling it, black helicopter crowd, so, but I mean, that was the environment that we started out in. And so we invested a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of trial and error. We just didn't throw a moving average together with a MACD and a stochastic. I mean, we certainly did initially, right? Because that's what was there. But that shit soon we could see just didn't work. And that's what we set out to do. Fortunately, Susan's math is a hell of a lot better than mine. There are things that we can do that I just didn't understand. To give you, for instance, there was in some of our programming, we use like synthetic numbers and stuff, and I was frustrated because the number would come up negative, right? And but Susan, should look at it and say, well, Don, you just use absolute value. What's that? I didn't know. An absolute value can turn a negative number into a positive number, and that can be very helpful, when we're doing the coding. So, it was just that sort of thing. I remember that one in particular, it's like absolute value. What the hell? And so that's what we set out. And I was trying to help Susan, from a trading standpoint. She hadn't been doing any of the trading, and she would ask me all these really annoying questions, but they were really good questions. And then I would describe what we're doing, and then she sees everything from a math background. Yeah, that's her background. I married up. She's a smart girl. And so that's what we set out to do. We had turned a corner. Stock Market Caddy didn't come about until 2012. We've already been using these tools. We're doing our thing. And we set out to do Stock Market Caddy just because I was bored to tears. And it was rather lonely. There was no Twitter then. There wasn't when we started, or if it was, it was just coming out. And I can remember when I described this to people, we were tweeting before there was Twitter because we would send subject lines in emails to CNBC. I'd send them nasty little subject lines like "you liars," and they'd write back, "Joe Bag of Donuts, Becky not too quick." They'd write back to us, which encouraged us. So we'd be sending subject lines in emails, which was Twitter. It was just the subject line. They wouldn't open the emails, but they would read the subject line. That's where that came from. Little did we know. But so Stock Market Caddy came about thinking like, well, I wonder if there were other people out there like us that wanted to do what we're doing. And I'm like, okay, well, let's try. And that was it. And then there was, and there is, remarkably so. We don't advertise in a big way. It's just word of mouth. So if you find us, it's probably a bit of a miracle because, there's so much out there, so much. But I don't see anyone, and we see the Twitter sphere and the YouTube, I don't see anyone doing what we're doing. I don't. Nope. I see that from my standpoint, I think they're all doing the same thing, more or less. They're all, swinging for the fences with an option trade, hyping this, hyping that, hyping the individual stock, hyping the market, hyping the Fed, hyping inflation, deflation, and just doing that. And it's just not repetitive. It isn't. And I guess there's just so many people doing it that's what they do. So in any case, I'm going to shut up and go grab a lunch. We're going to let it run. We'll let you hang out, and we'll see if we can, if the program can turn itself around a little bit. It has, yesterday we started out maybe about 400 or 500 in the hole, and it cleaned itself up and got profitable before the end of the day. I had ample opportunity to stop it profitable. I chose not to. I wanted to. I'd like to let it run to about 3. So we'll see if it can still get itself on the right side here. And if you have any questions, let us know. Now, once again, as an example, right? I could, right? I could, and we're losing a little bit of daylight in the day. I could go up and mechanically grab that $120 and bring my account closer to par, right? If you're playing a little game of golf, we could do that. I'm not going to do that, right? Because I'm doing some, some other things, not just, so I'm not trying to, necessarily demonstrate an outcome. I am demonstrating what we're about, right? And giving a forum on YouTube. I am trying to do that, but I'm not trying to demonstrate an outcome. I'm not. And it is amazing sometimes, sometimes we run a program that can be like really, really fast. And we call high, it's not, it isn't going to be high frequency like Citadel high frequency, but we've used that word and it'll trade really, really fast. And if people see that, they, the views on YouTube. In fact, one of our programs, which is, it trades really fast, has the most views. And it's because it's so fast. Um, it's just kind of interesting to me that that's what sometimes it doesn't pay to be so fast with your trading. I know everyone thinks that the faster you trade, the quicker you trade, that there's less risk. Sometimes, but not always. Thank you. So, um, but we'll let it run. And I see what you see, right? And these swing points, by the way, we call these little ball markers, and they're being drawn automatically. And we can put on double, and we can trade these in and of themselves. We have other programs that will trade them. You can see the sideways action. People will call this chop. I mean, we got chop from here to here. We got chop from here to here. We got chop. I mean, that's what markets do. They're in chop more than they're in trend, right? But there is a trend, and it's a sideways trend. It's a sideways move, and there's certainly a skill set. One of the things that we do know is that I'll just share with you. Maybe you don't know. If you can identify the chop, 15,275 to 15,310, that's 35 points. If we break this area and break out, we're probably going to go 35 points. I don't know if you knew that or not, but that's roughly. If we break here, we did break it a little and it didn't, but we're likely to go. So 15, 3, about 340, 340, 350. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised that that we get up in there. I wouldn't be surprised. But we're up 300, 310. I could go in, all right. If I was trying to demonstrate an outcome on YouTube, I could go in and like, oh, I better close that. So I better get that account to even. I better get it even. I don't want anybody looking bad. I'm not worried about that. Not anyone who thinks that I'm here doing that. That's not here. It's not what we're about. Any program can run for an hour or two or a day or two. I mean, anything can, or any trader can. You know, are you going to be here, 5 years from now? We're going to be here. I'm going to be doing this the rest of my life. I like doing this. It's a hoot. It is an absolute hoot. I love playing golf. I love fly fishing. Sometimes I'm torn which one I want to do more, trade or those two. I also love walking with Susan and my dog and get a beautiful life. I don't have a boss any longer. I love surgery. I love doing that. I did. But I took a sabbatical and ended up never going back. And Susie's office has an office set up and she does her thing, and we have a beautiful life. And no travel to speak of unless it's voluntary. No more conference calls. I had all that crap. I had all that. I know what that's all about. Crazy. I had a guy, he had to have conference calls on conference calls. Hmm. You can do it from wherever. I don't suggest you do it while you're driving, but these can on all these anything that you see here, anything on the screen, anything on the radar. We have other radars. They can be sending you text messages. Maybe you want to know when the NASDAQ on the 60-minute goes short. I don't know when that's going to be. Could be today, could be tomorrow, could be next week. Well, you program your computer and have it send you a text message. Okay, we're back, and the strategy's got itself back above par. In this case, above par is good, right? And we're just doing our thing. There are 24 trading days, 20 trading days in a month. If we were showing a strategy that was trading like really, really fast, or we were showing, we would have, these particular trades, which call for a different program and a different skill set. Folks would be, watching, they'd be tapped in. So, thanks for those that, do come into YouTube and watch and your patience. But, most people, um, they want this per month, or, two times that or three times that, but they're not necessarily, not all, but many, not prepared to exercise the patience and do it, per day, you know. Um, they want it all in one chunk, and that's where they get caught. And Wall Street and Madison Avenue have that figured out, and they know that, and they can play that. Machine here is going to do its thing, whether I'm here or not, even, but I am here to see it. Okay, the machine took that trade on a profit target. I would like to have kept that running, but I'm not gonna cherry pick here. The machine is running it, so I'm gonna let the machine run it. We got a decision to make though. It's getting to be 2:30. It's 2:30. Do we keep running? I'm gonna let it play itself out here. But 3:30 ish, I would like to be making a decision to turn it down. Um, so we'll see. We'll let it play out here a little bit. It's been all machine. Could I have traded better? Boy, I think so. I think I could have. I think I could have, helped the machine. Today in today's market. I think we could have done a better job if you took the 3 and the 5 minute together at 8:51 and 9 o'clock and stayed long all day. It's $4,700 on one mini, one micro 470. 10 minis is 47 grand.